This is Power Athlete Radio. With your hosts, Denny K, Professor Booty, and the Luke Summers. And now, toes forward, hips locked, shoulders set, and retract those scapulars. It's time for some knowledge bombs.
Welcome to Power Athlete Radio. This is Steve. I'm here with Denny K.
What's happening?
The Luke Summers, Callie, and Freddy Camacho from CrossFit One World. What's up, guys?
What's up?
Hey.
How we doing?
Dude, Denny, are you flooded?
You know what? I'm not. I'm one of the lucky ones, but it's been raining like all week here. And a lot of my friends at the gym, they got flooded basements, and some of the roads around here are pretty bad. But as far as my house and my yard, I'm good. My sump pump hasn't gone off once.
Yeah, it's out here. It's been, Callie and I have been struggling. I think she took a nap today in the 78-degree weather. It's been sunny for like 12 days straight, man. It's awful.
You're not supposed to repeat that. I was working diligently.
That's on record now, Callie.
You know what? I can tell that you've been working, Callie. I've seen that you posted up the recap of the Power Athlete series in Maryland. I was just going through that, looking at some of the videos of the lifts. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was quite impressive. So you can tell. I mean, I have been on the face page a little bit today.
What was the series like? You know, what did they what stood out the most? I know you kind of briefly recapped it in that post, but could you add to that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, the series was amazing. It was everything that I anticipated it would be. You know, we had some great PRs come out. We had some heavy lifters come out, but it really, really did come down to exactly what we were kind of planning on, which was a combination of athleticism and strength. And I was happy to say that the people who won were the people with the highest reps and the big strength numbers. And, you couldn't ask for more than that for something to replicate exactly what you want Power Athlete to stand for.
Can you talk about how the Metcons were scored? Was it something similar to like how the open wads were, or something completely different?
Yeah, so the scoring was similar to the open, just because the way that you can count the reps and judge them. I mean, when you have big groups like that, it just has to make logistical sense. So it had to mirror that somewhat, but in terms of the movements, it was completely different. So if you we'll put together some video of all the Metcons, and that way you can get an idea of some of the stuff we did.
Kick ass. Awesome.
And we should tell the listeners that if you go to, I know they posted it on CrossFit Football, but it's at Power Athlete. They have the video of I think every single lift. Is that right?
That's correct. It's all on Emotional Game and should be linked up to the scoreboard as well. So everybody can see the lifts, and you can see, you can see the standards for the movements and everything. It's just an awesome forum for athletes to take a look back and kind of get a little nostalgic about the competition.
If you had to pick, say, one thing about the weekend, what was the thing that sort of stands out as the sort of exclamation point of the weekend?
Well, that Prowler competition in the very end was pretty epic. The team that was number one going into the Prowler, the top three Prowler competitors, they were behind up until the very last second. And then a guy named Dan Samrov, I don't know what he's on, but he got the team to come back in the final seconds, push through, and they ended up taking first overall. So that was pretty epic. I think that was pretty exciting. Other standouts, we had I think the girl's name was Megan, but she squat 400 or 405, which was pretty ridiculous. You can watch that video on Emotional Game. So, I think those two things really stood out to me.
Awesome.
I mean, I'm the one who put that video together for the Prowler race, and I had to watch it like 6 or 7 times. And dude, seriously, the last to that, every time I watched it, I legitimately got goosebumps. Like I get goosebumps talking about it. Like anyone who's been behind a prowler, you can just see the suck on his face, like up close and personal, dude. And then he blasts by. I think that was Callie. Wasn't that Jim R?
Jim R. Yeah.
Poor Jim. But that was amazing.
Jim's not going to like this, but he did send me a little Facebook message after the competition, and he said how embarrassed he was that he was falling behind. I thought that was pretty funny, but it's, I mean, it was a max effort thing, and the best team won, so you can't ask for more than that.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Cool. So we've got Freddy on the line here, and maybe we should shift gears and bring him into the conversation. Freddy, I see that you're hosting a Power Athlete series out at One World.
Yep, September 7th. Can't wait, man. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. There's one coming to Atlanta too. My team is pretty stoked about it. So tell us about yourself. Let our nation know what's up.
See, I was born a poor black sharecropper.
Nice.
No, what do you want to know? What do you want to talk about?
Well, hey, Freddy, this is Denny. First of all, it's a pleasure to talk to you, man. You're kind of one of the legends in CrossFit. And what was it, back in 2010 when you were gunning for the games? I followed your blog. And I was rooting for you, dude. I really wanted to go there and kick some ass. And I know you followed some different programming, but once that run was over, I remember you posting that you were going to return back to the CrossFit football programming, and you were pretty excited about it. What is it about that programming that you really like? I mean, does it serve your? Are you still working for the SWAT? Or like,
yeah, I work for Union City Police Department still. Yeah, I'm a promoted supervisor position, and then I'm still on the SWAT team as a assistant team leader on there. So nice.
Is that programming more realistic to like your daily endeavors?
It is. I usually what I'll do during the game season is I'll fall back into a little bit CrossFit football for a couple of months just to change it up, you know what I mean? And try and, work on your strength and stuff like that. Right now I got China. She programs for me. So she uses principles from things that she's learning from. We've learned from John over the years, that she's learning from Greg and Amy now, because she's training out at Catalyst Athletics. And it's just a great, kind of that off time, because the CrossFit game season is totally different than CrossFit football. I mean, you wouldn't be able to do CrossFit football and then just drop right into the games. Maybe you can. Some guys can, because they can just enjoy the suck better than I can. But it's a good, at the end of your game season, kind of just to change it up. You know what I mean?
So, Freddie, what do you think about the Open this year? What do you think about the Open generally, I guess?
I hate it. I mean, is there anybody that likes it? I don't know. I wish it was just you get 5 workouts in 5 days rather than 5 weeks of 5 workouts.
Oh, I know.
You know what I mean? For me, the Open ends up, it's almost like a vacation from training, because we figure I work 3 days a week and I work a 12-hour and 20-minute shift, right? And then that's not to mention when I have an extra day of SWAT training, or if I get called in for an operation or whatever the case may be. So they announced the workout on, Tuesday night or Wednesday. And then you have to plan your whole week around the workout and when you're going to do it. So literally there are weeks where I was only training 2 days a week. And one of those days was doing the Open. Yeah. So it always kind of throws me for a loop. And then, does anybody like to do lightweight, high rep metcons? You freaks.
I agree, Freddie. It definitely dictates the training for the weeks of the Open. I mean, you don't know what's coming up, and so you sort of tiptoe around whatever strength training you were doing, so that you don't ruin your chances at doing well when the Open comes out.
Yeah, and I only this year was the first time that I ever did one workout twice, and that was, you guys saw my first attempt when I was down at Balboa. At the thruster chest bar up, which that just went all bad. So I had to do it. I had to do it again, and I only improved 10 more reps. So I don't even screw it. Next year, I'm not doing any ones twice again ever.
But there's so many people in the open now that 10 reps could be hundreds of places.
That's true.
That's true.
I mean,
very true.
One of my training partners, Caleb Williams, he went up one rep. He went from like 172 to 173 on that snatch burpee thing, and it moved him something like 170 places. I mean, he didn't qualify for the regionals or anything, but I mean, that's crazy. So that again, I think is a psychological, like a mind fuck in the sense that, if I should do it again, like Callie was saying, maybe I won't squat tomorrow. I'm going to do the workout again and get, one more rep and then one more rep the next day. And, I don't know. It's like 5 weeks of psychological torture. I'd rather be waterboarded.
It kind of mattered for me a little bit, but when I went back and did the math going into the last workout, I was basically like 76 points out of that 20th spot. Because, for us, it's only one shot in the Masters division. It's like they only take the top 20 and you go straight to the game. So, even if I had finished first in that workout, I don't think mathematically that I could have jumped up those 76 spots. I mean, I finished 27th and they're taking 20, but the difference between the 20 and the 27 was pretty significant.
Yeah. But I mean, even that, the fact that you did the math, CrossFit just messes with your psychology.
Oh yeah, totally, man. You're like looking at last year. Imagine last year I finished the first workout. I was in 80th place. I was all like, oh my God, I'm never going to come back from that. But last year they threw something a little bit heavier in that one, they threw something in and something spun into my favor. I didn't break the top 10 in any workout this year. So that really paid. But the problem is, I keep getting a year older and these 45-year-old guys keep staying 45, those fuckers.
Nice.
Are we all going to regionals?
Yeah, dude. We got a booth for NorCal regionals. We got SoCal and then the Southwest. We're going to check those out. If we have the weekend open, we might just come up. We don't have a booth or anything for NorCal, but there's nothing like hanging out with the director of party.
Yeah, man. I'll still be stressed out because China's in again this year. So.
Oh yeah, then we definitely got to find a way up there. Not many people know this, but Freddy's actually the only full-time employed CrossFit football individual, and he's the director of party and director of fun.
Yeah, and I'm constantly researching, doing testing, R&D, research and development.
Nice.
Yeah,
well, Freddy, we're going to Vegas this weekend for CERT, right? We might need you to do some R&D.
I would like so go to Vegas this weekend, but China's lifting in a meet Saturday. I also have a seminar, an SMR seminar that's going on this weekend. So unfortunately, I can't go R&D in Vegas. Bummer.
That's all right. That's all right. Well, we'll manage, I think.
Make sure you guys go to Red Square. I love that place. Vodka bar, yummy.
Mm.
My liver is shuddering right now.
So what else is up, Freddy? What are you going to do when the games is over? What's your training going to look like?
It's funny because it's like the games are over for me already. You know what I mean? So it's like I had that one wake up moment where I was like, it's like normally now I'm starting to think about how to get ready for the games. And now I'm just like, shit, now what? You know what I mean? It literally is like, except for 2010 when China made the game. So I was still there, but I've been in every game since it started, So now I'm like, it was so weird. Like the day after that, the open was over, I had to work that Monday and I freaking walked in the gym and I had a bad year. So like just my training is really tough after work, but I went into the gym after work and I was like, damn, this is cool. I don't have any freaking pressure right now. You know what I mean? So right now I just want to have fun with my training again. I need to get back into having fun because I really didn't have a good year. I worked 6 months of night shift and training during night shifts, working night shift, even on my days off. It was just horrible. So I had a really, really bad 6 months. So I'm just looking forward to making my training fun again. Going to start, pounding the weights, put on some strength again, some size. I'm getting to that point right now where I'm a little bit older and I don't want to put all the wear and tear on my knees and stuff like that. So I'm thinking I don't need to have a 500-pound squat anymore, but a 400-pound squat works for me. So,
oh, Freddy.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm just going to play around and have fun. That's what my training's going to look like again. And I'm even thinking about maybe doing some local competitions, something that I was kind of adamantly against before. But I just need to make it fun again. And that's what my goal is this year.
Why were you adamantly against it? Just out of curiosity.
Just because you know how it is, man. You go to some of these events, and I'm not meaning to talk shit about anybody or what they do, but like the workload is just like it destroys you, and then your training is wrecked for at least a couple of days or more,
Sure.
longer, or you risk injury or something like that, and some crazy things happen at these things. And I mean, you guys know how it is. It's even crazier down in SoCal. There's so many damn gyms down there. But so I was always like, I always did the TJ's gym, the knockout masters thing, and then I did the Diamond and the Tough for the Pro Annis guys as they were sponsoring me. But I think I might just get into some more of the local ones, like maybe some team ones, just have fun. You know what I mean? Do the workouts, drink the beer, have a good time.
Awesome.
Yeah, that seems like a good plan. Getting back to having fun in your workout, right? So many people get so serious around the open time, and they lose sight of the fact that it's just exercising, right? I mean, we're like trying to get fit and badass, but we should be still having fun with it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And it's like and China can attest to it because she saw it firsthand. They were just like my motivation or trying to work out, especially those 6 months when I was working nights it was all bad. All bad.
Yeah, I bet it was. We talk a lot about that on the radio, about how sleep is so important. And last episode, we talked about travel. And I mean, one of the things that travel does for me, even if I'm just traveling 1 or 2 time zones, is it jacks up my sleep. And then I go into the gym and it's like, sure, I can do whatever I did yesterday, but sleep disturbance is just horrible for your work capacity in any domain, as far as I'm concerned.
I recommend napping in the sun at work.
That's what the pool is for. It's the summertime now, man. I'll be in the sun a lot. I even like to work out in the sun sometimes.
Oh yeah, definitely. Some vitamin D. It's perfect.
Yeah, I can't wait for summer break. College, hit the pool. It's good to be a professor.
Hey, so I think I got to tell you guys about the story when I met John.
Yeah.
Would you guys be interested in hearing about my first meeting with John Wellborn?
Yeah. Story time with Freddy Camacho.
It's pretty funny, actually, because I was working the level 1 certs with CrossFit HQ, and John showed up at the seminar at Santa Cruz, the original CrossFit HQ box. And
what year was this, Freddy?
Shit, is this 2008? 2008 or 2000? It had to have been 2008. I'm thinking 2008. But he's still playing, or he's just finishing up playing. So I didn't know who he was, and nobody said anything about him playing for the Kansas City Chiefs. And you're all probably familiar with the level 1 system. They do the breakout groups, and there's one that's squat group, and then there's the push, and everything's with PVC pipe. And I get John in my group. I believe it was for the press series. So here's this guy that's just like 3 times my size, holding this little tiny PVC pipe, which just looked awkward anyway and weird. And so I'm walking around the group and I'm doing my thing, and I was saying something about him being muscular or big, right? And I go up to him and I pat him on his chest, and I'm like, this guy right here, he's obviously pounded a lot of weights. And I start to turn around, and he's all, I've never lifted a weight in my life. And I didn't know who he was, and I just turned around. I didn't even know what to say. I'm like, wow, that guy's just freaking huge, and he's never lifted weights in his life. And it totally kind of threw him off my whole game for a few minutes, and recovered, and we finished. And then later on, by the end of the day, they had me interview him for those CrossFit videos that they do. Did anybody ever see that video of me and John at his first cert? Yeah,
I've seen it.
Yeah. So I ended up interviewing him, and then I don't know, man, we just became good friends ever since, and it's a good guy. It's been good times.
Freddy, you think you could they probably still have that video posted, don't they?
I have no idea. I don't know where you even. I know they have a lot of videos that they transferred over to YouTube, but I don't know if it's there or not. I don't have it, so
I'll have to go digging, man. Maybe I can Maybe I can dig that up and we can post that on the podcast, like notes. It's a pretty funny video.
Yeah. There were a lot of funny videos back in the day. It was like CrossFit I understand that they have to just because there's so many people now, but it's definitely a lot more serious now, a little bit more serious.
Well, yeah, dude. I mean, you think of just the sheer volume of people that go through that seminar and the amount of support that you need, right, wrong, or indifferent. We've upped our volume of seminars and tried to bring on a couple seminar staff and Callie and our other coach Tex. And it's like a significant undertaking. And I know Denny was in the pool for that for a little bit too, but how many level 1 flow masters do they have now and then how many level 1 coaches? Like, dude,
how many, you got to look at how many, I think they did there was like a dozen seminars last week, all sold out. Yeah. Like if you go, every Sunday night, they post a picture of all the seminars or Monday night or whatever night it is. And I just happened to glance at it Sunday. And I was just like, holy smokes, Jesus.
Yeah, dude. Like, in terms of like operational efficiency and repeatable and sustainable practices to get that thing to that point and handle that scale, like what you're saying is, it's unfortunate because you lose a little bit of the personality because you got to make it more cookie cutter just so you can handle that volume,
Yeah, no, totally. I haven't been to a level 1 since they started doing the test, but I heard that it's a lot more formal than it used to be just because they had to cover the material for the test and stuff, which I totally understand that.
That's what – go, Callie.
You know what cert is not lacking personality?
Let me guess. Hey, to this day, I will still say and always say that and I'm a little biased maybe, but it's the CrossFit Football Cert seminar. It's still by far the best thing I've ever attended, and I've been to pretty much all the specialty seminars. So,
hey, Freddy, maybe you can convince Steve to go then.
You're coming to Savannah, Callie. Leave me alone. God damn. Freddie, they rag on me because they haven't been in the Atlanta area in a while, and so they're coming to Savannah. Relax. Get off my back.
Somebody break your leg, Steve. You can't make it to another cert?
I have a 2-year-old.
Just bring him with.
Bring him with. Actually, it's funny. He goes out in the garage, and the other day I was power cleaning, and my wife was doing something in the house. So he was like, I just told him like, stand back. So you lift the weight, you throw it down. So he grabbed these little 2.5-pound plastic dumbbells, and he picks them up, and he's like, "Ugh," and all he wants to do is just throw them on the ground. He comes within like a millimeter of his toe every fucking time. So
yeah, dude,
he's like a little power athlete in training.
This next generation of kids that are raised in CrossFit gyms or in garage gyms, I'm so curious to see, like, how does that pan out over the long term? If you're from the age of 1 to 10, like John's kids are, like, they just wander around the gym and like chew on weights and stuff like that. Are these going to be turned into like these phenomenal athletes just because they have that foundation of fitness and stuff like that? It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Yes, they will. Yes.
They're rebellious. Instead of doing drugs, they're going to do ellipticals.
Yeah, exactly. The good thing is that whatever happens to them athletically, at least that kind of upbringing, they won't be in the back of my squad car ever, which is cool.
Right.
For the most part.
Never say never, Freddy.
What's that?
Never say never, dude. I'm not talking about John's kids. I'm talking about the rest of the hellions running around.
Yeah, he's talking about my kid.
Yeah.
Hey, but that's an interesting question. Has CrossFit Football Cert, Power Athlete Cert, ever thought about, like, do kids show up?
Yeah, we've had a few. We've had a few teenagers, I feel like.
Let me back up. Here's the reason I ask is because when I have like young kids in the neighborhood who are walking home from the bus and they come up like, what are you doing? I'm like, lifting weights. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, I'm like, all right, well, come on, go get shorts on and come train with me. The rationale I use to train for them is the basic movements, right? Get a big squat, learn how to deadlift, learn how to press, bench and overhead press, and then, agility moves so that their joints are safe when they go into gym class or they try out for the football squad or the lacrosse squad or whatever it is. I mean, I basically use the CrossFit football template to set up something for these kids so they can get a little bit stronger and faster and then go do whatever the hell they want to do. I mean, is there something like a CrossFit football kids cert in the make?
I wish we could, kids are just little people, so like the same the same philosophy is really applied. The only difference is you have a much more ripened central nervous system, and you're going to be able to tap into that and create quality movement. So it's more about not necessarily stressing. I mean, it's as much about stressing the nervous system in terms of loading these kids up with weights, just as much as it is enforcing quality movement and building posture. Because that type of thing is going to stick with them forever. And we talk about it at the CERT. Steve, you wouldn't know, you haven't been one. But we talk about it all the time, that the best athletes, regardless of the arena of battle, tend to have the best posture, and they tend to move the best in space,
But it's also about keeping it fun too, and we talk about that in the CERT. Almost distracting them from the things that they might be learning, or the motor skills they might be learning. But just keeping them engaged and interested in what they're doing.
Yeah, cool.
Hey, I'll take it one step further, where I don't think it's just like kids. For those of us that own gyms, especially in my area, I'm getting a lot of people that have never done anything athletic in their whole life. So it's just like you're dealing with them as children. And our big focus for us is the big focus in our gym is the basic strength. Is basically we follow the CrossFit amateur football strength template, and then the condition is secondary. I mean, condition, you can mice condition on their little wheels inside of their cage. You know what I mean? So anybody can condition. There's nothing special about conditioning, but the focus needs to be on the strength. So for our gym, the template that we use for the strength is everybody just loves it. We don't do any 1 rep maxes except for quarterly. And they PR like crazy, and everybody's just really happy with it. So, he's right. Kids are just little people, and you're dealing with people now that are coming to your gym without the athletic background. It's just like they're kids. So
yeah, Freddie, you make a great point, because there is definitely a difference between chronological age and training age. Untapped central nervous systems that have the ability to make great gains no matter what age you are.
Yeah. I've seen that as well with our kids' classes. They're following a linear progression, the basic amateur progression or amateur template in CrossFit football. They have fun with that. We shy away from maxing them out too. And we're talking like 12, 13-year-olds. And the amateur template for that is just fabulous. And they're having fun with it. We've seen great gains. And I think it's, definitely a good place to start. And as they, get older, especially because in our area, there's like the 3 of the local high schools or grade schools. I think one of them has a gym class. The other ones totally dropped their gym class. And I know that's a big issue in the area. And it's like these kids aren't getting any kind of, any kind of athletic exercise or weight training at all. So when they come into our gym, they're just like sponges, and they love it. And we got a few of the people on the parents community board, trying to raise the issue with these schools to get gym class back. But I know they feel pretty fortunate to come in and do some weight training.
That's awesome.
So to answer your question, Steve, directly, no, we don't have a CrossFit football for kids, but we talk about training youth athletes at the CERT. That's the prime age, man. It's I guess that's not to say that there are certain considerations, but like Callie said, if you can take a peek at the athlete in terms of training age of 0 is a training age of 0, regardless for any athlete that walks through your door. So you can kind of treat them all the same. And that's like at our gym, that's how we onboard people. We always get people that are like, hey, no, I've been doing CrossFit for 2 years. And we're like, well, as soon as you walk through our doors, you haven't done CrossFit Balboa for any years, so we're going to start you at 0 and see how fast you age, so to speak.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. I was just curious because, it seems like what Freddie says, that, keeping it fun and keeping it simple based on strength. When people PR at my gym, you would think that they won the lottery. I mean,
Yeah, dude.
you know, somebody comes in and they're like, I'm afraid to squat. And then 6 months later, they PR their squat and it's on their Facebook page. You know, their grandmothers found out, like learned what a back squat was. And you're like, this is crazy. And it's fun. And they're smiling and they come back. And it's just awesome to see them going from like what looks like a good morning to a real squat. And, you know, their movement is getting better and they're getting stronger and they're seeing the results. So it makes sense to think like training age of zero is training age of zero, independent of whether, you know, chronological age.
Yeah.
I like that.
So
Cool. Hey, can I ask a question here? One of the comments on the CrossFit Football board, blog, forum, wherever we post our results to, talked about something called the Back Attack Program. And
I knew this was coming up.
So, and I was wondering if Freddy had heard of this, or if you guys could talk about the Back Attack Program, what it's for, what it entailed, why I did like 6 other people right in there like, you don't want to know.
If I don't want to know, then I'll stay clear because I don't know.
Okay, cool.
So last year about this time, we tested out a kind of a CrossFit Football variation of the West Side method. And it was after our Bulgarian stint that I think we talked about on the earlier podcast. And Ben, we were doing a lot of front squatting, and Ben kept breaking in his upper back. He just had a weak upper back. And we were doing pull-ups for days. Ben can do pull-ups for days. We're doing manual resistance pull-ups, and we just couldn't get his upper back to strengthen up. So what we tried is something we called Back Attack. And it was every Wednesday we would go through our, you know, whatever the program called for, and our accessory work, so to speak, was all sorts of loaded rep max, flexion and thoracic flexion and extension. It was brutal. And like, everything below your neck, like to your tailbone, would just be lit up. And we'd do isometric stuff. We'd get on a safety bar and do like loaded bent back good mornings and like all this crazy shit that John thought about in terms of strengthening Ben's upper back. And I honestly can't remember whether or not it worked. All I remember is how fucking sore we were for like 5 days. Like you couldn't twist or rotate. You walked around like Frankenstein, but you would like, I'd never felt something like that. We just called it Back Attack. It was like 40 minutes of just straight isometric work or flexion extension of that upper back.
Oh,
but one thing, I mean, so the disclaimer there, one thing you got to consider is, you know, we're all, Ben, Nate, John, and I are all relatively advanced athletes in terms of training experience. So I wouldn't, if anyone hears this and like, oh, I'm going to do Back Attack, like, dude, be careful or just don't do it. We say, you know, if your back's not breaking in terms of your squats, just keep on squatting because that's a way to strengthen it. Keep doing strict pull-ups, working on scapular depression. At the end of the day, we find that that's enough. We were just trying to take it to the next level. And dude, like Back Attack, like I could still just, it was awful.
Sounds horrible. I won't be able to hold up my beer. Hey,
yeah,
guys, I got to cut out. I got to get over to the gym by 12 o'clock.
All right, sounds good, dude. So do we want to just kind of drop off Freddy and then we can pop off a couple of questions on Denny's outline here?
Yeah, that sounds good. Hey, Freddy, thanks for being on. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime, man. It was good times.
Thanks a lot,
All right,
Freddy.
Take care, buddy.
Bye,
All right, guys. Bye. See you later.
All right, later, man.
That guy's cool.
Yeah, he was cool.
If
He still
I'm
is.
not, and I know I should have asked him this, but I think he's one of the few that have like a "Go fuck yourself" shirt, right, Luke? I mean, isn't that like a reward for doing the Tabata 315 if you can get 50 or more reps?
Yeah, that was the challenge, but yeah, there's I think like 20 or so shirts in circulation. A few have been earned through that method, and a few have just been earned through I guess exemplary acts of awesomeness.
Oh,
I
so
have
there
two.
are
I have
other
two.
ways. There are other ways to get your hands on one of those kind of shirts.
So 50 reps on the 315 challenge?
Yeah,
That's what I remember, and that was I think that's been a couple years now. If you can get 50 plus
It's
reps,
got to be bigger than that because I'm almost 40 and I can get more than 50.
Oh, bullshit. Film it. Let's see it.
Okay, I'll do it. What was
No balls.
I know you got pretty close on what was it that came out a couple weeks ago on a Saturday. I know you were pretty close, Steve. Weren't you? You were in the upper 40s though.
I did it after an open WOD and after a max clean.
That's right.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Steve, a lot of people can get 48.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think even Callie can get 48 at 315.
49.
Nice.
We're talking about bench, right?
Yeah, right.
Just kidding.
Nice. All right, I should have kept my mouth shut. But here we go. It's on now. All right, so where are we at? We talked about back attack. What about ballistic pull-ups? What's the idea behind ballistic pull-ups? John gave a description of how to do it, but maybe not a rationale.
It's going to be something. It's not something that we've tested out. I know John just got it was just his birthday the other week, and we got him all sorts of training books, like these Russian training manuals that you had to dust off from like this weird archive and have a weird guy with a mustache and ponytail pull them out. But so I have a feeling it's an influence of something out of those books, and we've actually all been on kind of separate islands this week. So what we'll have to do is get to him. But I know if I had to guess, it's a concept. I mean, when we talked about at the start about compensatory acceleration and always accelerating, having a positive acceleration on any of your power lifts, whether you're squatting, benching, or deadlifting, if acceleration is 0 and velocity is constant, then we're not eliciting the same training effect that we're looking for to optimize your power output.
Right.
I have a feeling that that's kind of the same concept here. Is we're in this vertical pull, and what we're trying to do is start from a dead hang and just accelerate through that whole range of motion.
Yeah, I mean that's what it seems like, right? I mean, it just seems like what you said, an accelerated contraction. So cool.
But what we'll do is we'll get John on next week and have him nerd out on that. He's a huge geek with that stuff.
Not John.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. What was the other one, Denny? Oh.
Well,
Seal fit.
That was some of the people on the blog were questioning if anybody had tried Seal Fit and their experience with it as compared to CrossFit football. And somebody had chimed in who is like a current soldier. I can't exactly remember the details, but he had said that like the SEAL Fit program looks great from the outside as far as like an image of what people see, like a special forces individual, like his capacity. And he's saying that the CrossFit football programming is actually more realistic to what they're doing, that what a special forces operator would be doing. And I know Luke you talked about that in could have been episode 1 or 2 when we were talking about some soldiers, if you knew of any soldiers, what kind of feedback you get from them. And I guess Freddy would have been a good one to ask that, right? I mean, he's close to that, with his SWAT background as far as, is that huge 2-3 hour long workouts more towards more realistic for him? Or is it the shorter 15-minute or under Metcon and the strength elements and the mobility more realistic? I would assume it would be the latter.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to, in any kind of a situation like that, I mean, shit's going to go down fast and, you're not going to be doing anything constant for 3 hours. Do do you guys agree with that or what?
Well, so here's the thing, in terms of operational stress and training for operations, it's we've heard that the training philosophy behind CrossFit football with some adjustments is more conducive to that. But when you're talking about buds and training and stuff like that, then I mean that's the psychology of the training psychology behind weeding out the weak-minded and the weak individuals. So that's why you see a lot more volume in terms of that type of stuff. But that's the feedback we've heard.
All right, cool.
All right, cool.
I think that's generally like the impression. I know a buddy of mine and we tried some of the Seal Fit one summer, and because being off in the summer, you've got basically all day. Like I got to like mow the lawn and then I work out, and it was just too much and too long, and it wasn't fun. It just lost its fun after like 3 days, and I'll tell you honestly, and this isn't me, I'm not one to pat myself on the back, but I've been back on CrossFit football for, I guess, a couple months now. I don't even know when I came back from my little infidelity, and I'm back. I feel like I'm back home. I look forward to my workouts now. I'm like stoked about my workouts. And just this week, on at least a half a dozen occasions, I've had people say to me that I look jacked or beefy. And I'm like,
beefy.
It's where I know beefy. I don't know if beefy's a compliment or not, but I'm going to go ahead and interpret it that way. I mean, I can feel it too. Like my shorts don't fit right anymore. It's like, what's happening here? So
that's a good feeling.
It's a great feeling, and like your t-shirts get a little bit tighter and you're like, gosh, like, am I that guy now? And so I think it's a great program, and I think it's so applicable to all different professions, not just the operators, but the short burst. It just has such an adaptational quality to it. I think Seal Fit is, and I'm nothing against. I'm not bashing Seal Fit. I think it's a cool program for people who can handle it. But I think there are a select few people who can handle that. I mean, like to go for a 3 or 4 mile run at the end of 2.5 hours of straight work, that are like long, grueling metcons, like triple Frans. I mean, seems to me detrimental to, to compare Seal Fit and CrossFit football is almost apples and oranges. Endurance versus a strength bias type of thing. Right. So I think that kind of came out on the boards too, from people like myself who sort of commented and some other people. And then I do remember that guy in the military saying, from his impression, it's CrossFit football seems much more conducive to what he does.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm with you, Steve. Like I'm not bashing anything, and right. There's something to be said about shared suffering and enduring kind of those longer metcons and lots of volume in certain stints. But what we know in terms of physiology is the extended exposure to that long kind of submaximal high volume deal can get you into some problems.
Yeah. And I think, maybe we'll just close on this comment with this conversation and move on to some of the submissions, the questions from the users. But, one of the good things that I took away from being on Seal Fit is the guy who runs it, Mark Devine, I think he's an ex-SEAL, and he writes a lot about the mental game as well. And like you said, suffering, right? And so how to deal with what they call basically forging mental toughness and being able to embrace the suck and being able to, forge ahead. And I took some of that stuff away from that program. And so, even if the program isn't what you're looking for or doesn't benefit you, there's always something to be taken away as long as you keep your eyes open.
Yeah,
for sure.
And hey, just as before we close, I sent out a distress signal to John on the bat phone. And here's what he came back with. He said he was watching people train, and he's sick of seeing people do strict pull-ups in the slow and controlled manner. And he says, if you want to get something ballistic, then you resort to the violent hip extension. So you're actually negating the vertical pull portion of the movement. So we say it at our seminar, you want to be fast, you got to train fast. You want to be powerful, you got to train fast. So like train fast, be fast, train slow, be slow. Mm-hmm. So, he closes it with speed is good, even in pull-ups. So as long as you can retain a retracted depressed scapula and you're going after your strict pull-ups, they should be fast and they should be ballistic. And, for him, he said that they really should go without saying, but now he's going to start programming them as such.
So it seems like that should go without saying then maybe for any exercise.
Assuming assuming the training response you're looking for is speed, fast movement. And we talk about kind of the order of operations of that. First you have to establish good positioning and good stability. Once you're stable and strong, then we're going to add speed. Right. You know what I mean? So, assuming you can keep good positioning on your strict pull-up, you should always be trying to accelerate through the movement. And that's the same concept with, with squats on light squat days. If you see a volume squat day program, let's say you're on a collegiate template and it's like, 80% of your 5RM or something, something light, and you're doing doubles, like you should be moving as fast as you can,
right?
In as a controlled manner as you can. And I guess, the same goes for your overhead pulls.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, yeah, thanks to John. That's awesome.
Makes more sense.
Yeah.
Right. At first I was like, what am I looking at? Is it just like a fast chest to bar? I could kind of sense where John was going, but it just wasn't clear. And now that just kind of totally makes sense.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, I did them before I logged on, and exactly like it was described in the video. And it really is like a fast, strict chest to bar, because you pull so powerfully that I felt like, now I kind of have to, because I'm in my garage, I've hit my head so many times on my ceiling, but I have to almost stop myself at chin above the bar. I was hitting my chest on the bar just because I was accelerating. So it's such a different movement, and just it felt cool. Actually, it felt amazing. And I don't do my strict pull-ups very slow, because I ditched the slow training, several years ago when I realized that that's what bodybuilders do, and it seems like it's not what I want to do.
Yeah, and good on people who see results from that type of deal. But again, the looking glass we peer through when we program CrossFit football, you're programming the movement, but it's also how you complete the movement. And at the end of the day, I've said it a couple times already, but you want to be fast, you have to train fast. You want to be powerful, you have to add speed to your movement.
I love it. Denny, we got some questions here?
We do. We got a couple. Looks like the first one is from Jackson Brower. I think he emailed this to Callie, and in our email communications, she had sent this out to all of us, but it was, he writes that he's a 19-year-old, a freshman in college, and he's always hungry, all in caps. He says, but seriously, I CrossFit at CrossFit Aberdeen in Scotland, and I try to avoid going secret squirrel and adding in extra strength from the CrossFit football site. He's had tons of progress, and he likes to eat clean. I'm usually up at 4:30 every morning and training to hit the box, but I get some solid sleep. When I eat a ton, it's always very protein and fatty, with tons of nuts or coconut oils and such, but still nothing seems to satisfy my hunger. So from what I get of that, it seems like he's trying to eat healthy. I know when people say they eat a ton, that can kind of be an exaggeration.
Yeah, dude.
From what I know of that, and I'm not an expert in nutrition, but I know if you don't get enough protein in your meals, you're gonna feel hungry, right? I think the higher protein in your meals kind of like elicits this hormone response to kind of tell your body that, hey, you're cool, you're full. But if where the opposite would be, if you eat instead of like protein, carbs, and fats, if your meal consists mostly of fat, you're gonna feel full, and you're not gonna want to eat another meal for a few hours.
Yeah, what's tricky about this question is, and this goes for future submitters, like give us an example of what you're eating per day. Like, I know people who think they eat a ton, but at the end of the day, like, I'll tell you, I eat a ton, and I'm not kidding. Like, I eat pounds and pounds of food when I'm training, and when I'm not training, I eat pounds of food. Like, I don't cook my ground beef with one package. I have to get 3 packages. I have an oversized skillet because, we eat a ton. So I guess my answer to the dude, and this isn't like a super, I'm not going to add something very wise, but eat more. If you're hungry, then eat more. Cook more food, make it happen.
That's exactly right. And that was my response when I saw this sent across the email is that here's the thing. If you're eating, your body is telling you something. And it could be that you're not eating enough. Could be that you're eating the wrong stuff at the wrong time. Your training is not being sufficiently fueled by your eating. I mean, sometimes we overthink these things so much, but here's the deal.
No way.
If you're not living off of like fucking Starbucks, like Frappuccinos and bagels, then you're not eating enough. And my question would be, imagine if you're making gains and Jackson says that he's making great gains. Again, very vague. Great gains in like I put 100 pounds on my back squat in 1 month, or great gains in terms of I put 10 pounds on my back squat in 1 year. Gains are relative. So give us some information. And the thing about it is if you eat more, could your gains actually be more? Right. And so I think it's if you're hungry, eat. I mean, come on, we're training hard. Got to fuel the machine.
Yeah. And then, at the end of the day, it can be a pain. I remember, dude, I was the weird guy at my old job who, I would bring in 1 pound bags of vegetables and like these huge Tupperware of like ground beef and boiled chicken and stuff. And like,
right.
Like, do you eat all of that? And I'm like, yes, I do. And they're like, you're going to gain weight. But, I was like, a fit looking dude in corporate America with a bunch of like really metabolically deranged individuals who just worked too much, didn't sleep enough, and didn't eat enough, and
yeah, bro.
I came from that world as well. I was in the corporate world for a few years, sitting behind a desk, and they would kind of joke at me, call me Tupperware man. Why their breakfast consisted of like a cup of coffee and a donut. And here, what? I found this guy's email. He followed up on the email, and what he's saying is it's more like when I'm hungry and I eat, nothing fills me. And he's that's what I'm interested to find out, and what y'all's opinion was, and if you could give me some advice on it, like if it's unhealthy. And then Callie responded that it's a tapeworm.
Yeah. Tapeworm, go to the doctor. No,
tapeworm, go to the doctor. But it just, if you're eating and you don't feel full.
I mean, there could be a couple of things going on, right? I mean, like, I would, if he seriously is eating a lot and he's eating relatively quality food. I mean, I know Callie's comment was a joke about a tapeworm,
right?
But there are other things like nutritional extraction. I mean, maybe his gut bacteria are jacked up. Maybe he needs a probiotic. Maybe what he's eating is going in one end and out the other. So I think for somebody like that, that's maybe really dialed in, assuming he's really dialed in.
He's 19.
He's 19.
He's 19, and his metabolism is just freaking through the roof. I mean, but is he eating, protein, carbs, and fats? Is it a healthy balance at every meal?
So maybe we could, we'll get back to Jackson, or he could have him post on comments. Jackson, you could listen to this, dude. Just post in the comments. We'll stir up some discussion. We just need a little more info on what exactly you're eating, how much, when, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm with you guys. I mean, like eating power athlete diet is weird for other people. I walked into a faculty meeting the other day with a bag full of 1.5 pounds of bacon. And, just like your colleagues, my people were like, is that bacon? And of course they all wanted some, but they were like, well, I'm trying to watch my weight. And I was like, yeah, I'm trying to watch my weight go up. So, I mean, it's weird, but you just have to eat. It's not fun. I mean, everyone loves bacon. Everyone loves sweet potatoes, but sometimes you just have to force yourself. You're full. You got to feed the machine.
You got to get those calories up. I know I'm right now, I'm probably averaging about 5,000 calories and put on a few pounds, and all my numbers have increased. I'm kind of gearing up for the team series to really give it a go. And, that's a half a gallon of raw milk a day. There's an extra 1,000 plus, and about, something back at the cert I remember John telling me about is like drinking olive oil. I can drink a quarter cup of olive oil, and that's 1,100 calories right there, all from like, you know, the unsaturated fats, like the vegetable fats. And I go in there and just kick ass, you know, and then you throw in like 3 good healthy meals and then some snacks, you know, eating like every 3 hours.
It's like a full-time
and that's like
job.
the recipe to kick some ass.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I've been gearing up. I got the Power Athlete Series on May 4th here in Atlanta, and then this Saturday I've got my first ever powerlifting meet.
Nice.
Yeah, Powerlift for Pink. It's for a local cancer charity called Paint Georgia Pink. I have no idea what I'm going to hit. My bench numbers are going to be pathetic because my shoulders are jacked up, but hopefully it should be
You're going to pull 600? You're going to do your 600-pound deadlift?
I'm going to open at 550 and see how I feel. 550 is like an everyday lift, right? And so if I can get to 6, that'd be nice.
Nice.
So we'll
what
see.
about your squat, dude? I saw you posted like
My squat
you're
is-
squatting like every day.
Yeah, so I did this thing. I was trying to like force my body to get used to having a good like heavy weight on me at all times. And so basically what I would do is I'd either do the CF football programming squats, or on the alternative days, including rest days, I would just squat to something over 90% of my front squat, box squat, or back squat. For 17 days, I did it straight. And I PR'd my back squat, my front squat, and my box squat. Even though I was fatigued, some days I'd go out there and I would just throw, like on the rest day, I'd throw 135 on, hit 1 rep, 225, hit 1 rep, 315, hit 1 rep, 385, hit 1 rep, done. I was done that day, but I had a heavy bar on my back. I'll tell you what it's done for me. It's really helped my squat positioning, because when you're fatigued, it seemed to help. I have a pretty bad squat for whatever reason, and I could blame it on things like femur length or whatever, but it's just because I'm weak. It's helped me feel out positioning under heavy loads. What would happen is I would nail my warm up squats, right? They'd be fast, look solid, get to a heavy weight, a 3-rep max or something, and all of a sudden it would just go to shit. The bar would be like moving on my back and feel unstable. My thoracic spine would collapse. And so it's really taught me a lot about T-spine stability in that position under heavy load. I've stopped this week because I've got the powerlifting meet on Saturday, but I really enjoyed it. Actually, when I came off it, I kind of missed it. And, theoretically it's supposed to knock your testosterone down, but I mean, I don't need to reveal any personal information, but my wife doesn't like the program very much. I feel like my testosterone has gone through the fucking roof.
Now, hey, Steve, did John get in touch with you on that?
No, he didn't.
He was gonna get a little clarity and give you some guidance, but it sounds like you're all right. You got to be careful with those percentages in terms of a global matrix. Because that's what we learned out of the Bulgarian template is John had the best success because he didn't use the percentages. He used the daily matrix.
Yeah, no, that's actually what I did too. It ended up when I went back and did the math, I was at 90% of. On any given day, I was at 90% of my best. But what I was doing was going for a daily, I think what Zatsiorsky calls like the daily 1 rep max, TFM, sort of like the max for the day, as opposed to going at maybe the max for like all-time competition max. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, and that's what I went after because, I'm old, right? I'm almost 40 years old and I can't go out necessarily and hit my 1 rep max every day. So I just kind of felt it out. The other day, I mean, I hit a PR back squat and box squat. And so, yeah.
Oh, that's good stuff, man. Yeah, that's, that's kind of what we learned from our experience, or Ben and I and Nate learned the hard way. And we established the concept that, you have to be very creative in using these global percentages and train more on the daily matrix. And you tend to see a lot more success out of that. But.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I noticed is I felt that I was, we were talking before about speed. I felt faster. So weights that would maybe typically slow me down, when I went off a daily max or a daily matrix, I felt faster out of the bottom. I felt more solid. I didn't feel like I was like worried about my T-spine collapsing or anything like that. I just felt more solid, fast, down, up, racked it. And on those rest days, I didn't spend too much time. One of the rest days I went into, and Ingo razzed me on the board because I went into Gold's Gym with my wife. My wife goes to Gold's Gym to do like some classes and shit. And I just hit a couple of front squats and then like walked on the treadmill, waited for her to get out of her class. But it's just the kind of thing that was like, it was an experiment. I'm always trying to experiment, not, and like I said on the board, not secret squirrel it, just really for me. What am I training for? And one of the things I'm training for, one of the things I respect in athletes is when they say, how old are you? I'm such and such. I can squat more than 400 pounds. That to me is like, that's legit, right? Like Freddy said, we're getting old. 400 squat is, that's pretty good on our joints and bones. So that's what I was after, sort of, is just making sure I could get comfortable with that and get comfortable with a heavy weight on my back. It was more of a psychological experiment than a physical experiment. It just turned out that a couple of days I went out there and I felt like shit. And I told myself, I read this old article by a guy named John Braz, What You Feel Is a Lie. And I basically just told myself what I feel is a lie. I don't feel like shit. Put the weight on, put the bar on your back, squat. Those were the days I PR'd.
Nice.
Yeah, dude, there's a ton of merit to that. Like, we like to drop these crazy knowledge bombs. You want to get good at squatting heavy weights, you got to squat heavy weights type thing. But hey guys, I got a boogie because Wellborn's actually waiting for me at the gym. Apparently, John likes to put up these impromptu meetings where you got to be there in like 5 minutes because he's there.
Nice. All right, word. So then we'll Power Athlete Radio. I guess we're signing off.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bulldozer, we'll get to your question next episode. And, hope maybe we can get John on. See if we can get John on next time, Luke.
Yeah, we'll get him. Today was just, it's been a crazy week this week. You know what? He's going on vacation this weekend, so it'll be a couple weeks before he gets back.
All right,
okay.
That's cool.
So
cool, man.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you later.
All right, take care, guys.
All right, later.